Welcome back to Dirty 20, guys. Today, we're looking to answer some requests from the community. Multior has asked us, so, as a fun challenge, Spelljammer, Mandalorian, how'd you build him? Can we get Whistling Birds and Rising Phoenix in there somehow? Some multi-class with limited spellcasting to reflavor, I'm thinking. Well, Multior, first of all, thank you so much for commenting on the video on character creation. I am a massive fan of The Mandalorian. If anyone hasn't checked it out yet, I really strongly recommend it. The character is so much fun, such a strong kind of Western feel to it. It really kind of gets me jazzed. But the main character of The Mandalorian has, I would argue, a lot of similarities to Boba Fett. And so I would, first of all, take a look at my trusty Tulok the Barbarian series building character, where you can find that he has actually done a build on Boba Fett. So to start with, he goes Ranger. Now, when you're building a character, it's good to think ahead. So when you're building a character, you don't only think about what you're going to do at level 1. And because a lot of campaigns often start at level 3, you might also want to think about beyond level 3. So in Tulok the Barbarian's build, he builds him as a ranger up until level 3 and gives him the hunter subclass, which I think is perfect for the Mandalorian, the bounty hunter who, is great at finding his prey. And I think Ranger is also appropriate. He's a great hand-to-hand fighter, and especially he has his massive rifle. If some of you are not too familiar with Spelljammer, Spelljammer is a setting which is quite out there, but it has a lot of great elements of sci-fi, although it changes things a little bit. So rather than having great big metallic ships and the kind of technology that we're used to in seeing in sci-fi movies, it's a kind of blend of the medieval fantasy with sailing ships that can sail through space. At level 3, you choose the hunter subclass, and then you start thinking about what you're going to start doing in the next few levels. I think you're absolutely right, Multior. Multi-classing is really where we're going to start to get some of the cool things that the Mando can do, including things like the Whistling Birds or the Rising Phoenix, which is his awesome jetpack. So I would say that around level 5, after taking probably Sharpshooter at level 4 as your feat, I would say that multi-classing into a sorcerer, which would give you access to spells, would be the best thing to try to recreate the Mandalorian. With regards to your specific question of could we get Whistling Birds somehow, I think that this is where I would look at a spell like Magic Missile, for example. It's a spell that you can shoot several bolts when you cast it. They automatically hit, which I think also kind of ties nicely to the almost heat-seeking style that the Whistling Birds have in The Mandalorian. And you can upcast it, which means that if you cast it at a higher level than the actual level that the spell is, you get additional bolts in this case. And, you can be shooting 6 or 7 at once, all hitting their target with a D4 plus 1. So I think that is a really nice way to, like you say, with a bit of reflavoring, create that absolutely amazing image that you saw in the TV show. As far as the Rising Phoenix, I think that it's something that inevitably you're not going to get until further along as you're going up in levels. And I think that's kind of cool because just like in The Mandalorian, he doesn't actually have it straight from the get-go. So it's something that you can look forward to. And really you're looking at the fly spell as the best kind of simulacrum of that ability. Our next comment has come from Sam Miner, who said, I've always liked the idea of playing a Captain Levi type character from Attack on Titan. However, I always struggle with the 3D maneuvering gear part. I think it would be so cool to get it and would appreciate the community's input in getting there. Thank you so much, Sam, for leaving this comment for us. I had actually never watched Attack on Titan, so the first thing I have to say is thank you very much for introducing me to that show. I am now an avid fan, and it's really very, very cool animation. If you like the kind of violent Japanese anime style, it's really quite fantastic. And in it, there are these kind of soldiers. They're called scouts. And they have this piece of equipment, which I can only describe as a kind of grappling hook, but is on a, like a fishing kind of wheel. And so they can send it off really quite far, attached to buildings and swing. Almost like Spider-Man in a certain way. Now, on this one, Tulok hasn't actually done a build for it. So I had a look at it myself. And for both of these characters, I came up with a character sheet that took it up to about 3rd level. So if you want to check it out, please head on over to our website on www.lavictoriaproductions.com, where you'll be able to download it, have a little look, tell me if I got it right, if you'd have done something a little bit different perhaps. But back to Sam and his Captain Levi character. So thank you, Sam, for suggesting this. So after thinking about it for a little while, what I realized is in order to focus on the 3D maneuvering gear, which is that piece of equipment, I thought mobility. The faster that you can make this character, the better. And with a conversation with your DM, you can perhaps make it a little bit more personalized, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on. But I would definitely go variant human. Now, this allows you to take a feat at 1st level. And for that feat, I would definitely take mobile, which is going to increase your speed. Again, we're really trying to make this guy fast and be able to climb and all of these things that we can reflavor to be that 3D maneuvering gear. Then I would look at the rogue. The reason I would look at the rogue is, first of all, they're awesome. It's probably my favorite class. But secondly, the thief subclass at 3rd level really has some incredible mobility options. For example, climbing is something that you can do with no penalty. So you can climb vertically as fast as you can run, which is awesome. Again, in my mind, I'm thinking that that is you deploying the 3D gear to be able to get up there that quickly. It also allows you to not be affected by difficult terrain, where in D&D you have a foot speed, so to speak, a walking speed, and that can be affected by the kind of ground that you're walking on. So your DM might turn around and say, this area in front of you for the next 20 feet is very thick mud, and so you can only move at half your speed. However, the thief subclass can absolutely ignore that. So again, I can imagine that 3D gear being shot out onto a tree or onto a building for you to be able to overcome that kind of difficult terrain. Now, once again, looking forward to 4th level, this is a big one because you have a decision to make. Do you go with an ability modifier increase, so maybe make your dexterity 2 points higher, right? So that would allow you to hit better in attack when using a kind of finesse weapon. It would allow you to use your skills, which you are, you know, rogues are excellent. They get proficiency. They get 2 expertise, which is a doubling of proficiency. So you're really quite skillful. And having that extra 2 dexterity can really kind of take you to the next level, so to speak. But I think I might consider a feat. For example, looking at Captain Levi in Attack on Titan, you always see him with 2 swords. And I think that would be a really cool thing. So you have the dual wielder feat, which would allow you to use your proficiency bonus when attacking with both hands. So in an offhand attack where usually you don't get to add that proficiency, you get it. So you're hitting better, essentially. Not necessarily connected to the 3D gear, but still cool, still kind of flavorful for Captain Levi, and I think a really good choice. Really, for both of these, one of the big keys in achieving something similar to a character that you're inspired by is talking to your dungeon master. Talking to your DM is going to, first of all, get them excited, get them thinking, oh my god, I can picture these really cool combat scenes where you're, flying around or you're shooting your whistling birds. So getting them excited for your character concept is always a really good thing. And you'll be surprised how often a DM is willing to kind of be lenient with the rules. And for example, with the 3D maneuvering gear, if I was the dungeon master and you came to me and said, I want to use this in game, I'm happy to, be a thief who has great mobility. But then I would take it a step further and I would say, okay, well, I would allow you to make an acrobatics check or an athletics check, or even a to hit attack, in order to potentially double that movement that you've got with mobile and being a thief as well. Just to kind of make it more exciting. Sometimes, and some people might say, oh, you're kind of breaking the game by doing that. You're giving someone something which is very overpowering. And my argument is, and a lot of people's argument is, if it's cool, then why not try it out? The rule of cool that some people mention. And I am fully behind it. I think it's something that is a lot of fun when you are generating a campaign, for your players to get excited and for you to get excited about the possibilities. And it also gives you the slight challenge of coming up with bad guys and enemies that can somehow counteract the player character's abilities. One of my favorite things is doing a kind of mirror version of a player character where, okay, you have this really cool thing, guess what? The bad guy also has that really cool thing, You're coming up against someone who was trained like you were or has something to do with your background. And again, now you're starting to get into the whole storytelling aspect of it. So it's all about inspiring you to create the best stories in your campaign that will become memories that you'll cherish forever. That brings us to the end of this particular episode. I want to thank Multior and Sam Miner as well for commenting and taking part in this community that we're trying to build. And, I ask you, what are some other characters that you would like to see built? I'm happy to talk through them with you and potentially put up a character sheet on our website, as I'm doing with these two. And, keep coming back and commenting. We want to engage with you and have this become a regular thing where we comment on the comments. So thank you so much for listening. Keep slaying. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to get in touch, please head on over to La Victoria Productions on Facebook. You can also check us out on Instagram. I'm Enano LVP. Jazzy J. Shiro is our producer. He's also on Twitter at Mouth La Victoria. We're also on LinkedIn. And if you get the time, please head on over to our website, www.lavictoriaproductions.com. Keep slaying. No, because I need to do all the things that I always forget.
You hate this. I really